Okay, the Board of Sign Language Interpreters Rules Advisory Committee meeting is convening at 9:53 a.m. on July 18th, 2024. This meeting is being held in person and by MS Teams video conference and is being recorded. The recording will be posted to the internet for public viewing. The licensing office asks that individuals attending through MS Teams keep their phone muted and cameras off during the entire meeting unless you're given opportunity to comment during the public and interested parties comment period, if indicated on the agenda. Please do not use the chat feature during meetings when I'll call roll. Amanda? Absent. Christy? Here. Lori? Here. Caitlin?
Here.
Natalie, no Deanna, no Nissa, no Darcy. Buck? No Buck. Amber? No Edwin? Mel. Here. Okay. Members, when you wish to speak, please state your name, last name for the record. Members are asked to not use the chat feature. No chat feature, Caitlin. Thank you. Public members wishing to speak must first sign in the roster or email Carrie Edwards at carrie.edwards@oha.oregon.gov and provide your first and last name. Public and interested parties feedback may be heard during the public and interested parties feedback period. I've said that already. Everyone is asked to use appropriate manners, language, and protocols when conducting business. Now call roll. Cut that thing down some. Jeez. Okay, so we haven't met since April, I think it is. So first, just want to. Darcy's not here, so does somebody want to chair? Do you want me just to run the meeting? I'll let you guys decide how you want to do that. Okay. You run it, that's fine. And then, I don't know how you, sometimes people go up there and sign. I don't know how you want to just throw, however you want to do it.
This is Amber speaking, Amber Paul speaking. Given the comment from Jack, our board member for the Sign Language Interpreters Board, had made the comment in the last meeting. He really wanted to encourage us to go up front and sign. So I just want to acknowledge that comment once again and bring that to the forefront of today's meeting, especially with the amount of people who are here today. I think that that's something that we can prioritize in how we're communicating. I'll leave it up to you guys to put your opinion on that.
This is Lori. I think people who want to should, and those who don't, maybe don't.
So just to kind of go over the ground rules. The last time we had some sticky notes, although I think it got confusing with the sticky notes, and I had my notes and Lori had notes. So I think we'll try it this way and see if that works, and we can just keep trying new ways. Let's always remember to be respectful of each other. I know this is a new process for me and working with sign language interpreters and the deaf community. And it's also new for most of you working in government. So just to be respectful of each other. Understand for me that whatever you say, it's written into a rule. And if I don't know what you're saying, I don't know how to write the rule. So if I ask for repeats or if I ask for, to explain it to me more, not because I'm questioning you, it's because I don't understand what you mean. So just wanted to kind of make that note. I went ahead and listened to the recording at the last meeting to make sure everything, just to refresh my memory, it's been a long time. And went back through the rules that you guys crafted, and I have some questions. Which I sent to you in your documents yesterday, but I also gave you a copy and I gave you a new copy of the rules. So this says updated is fresh. So this has like some grammatical changes, some spelling changes, just some things like that.
I see an EC in the chapter. I'm wondering if that's Edward.
No, it's me.
Oh,
very
mine.
Well, I do see Edward.
My last name is Edwards.
Yeah.
Ah.
Those are cool. So, sorry, yeah, go ahead. I messed up.
Okay, so if everyone is okay One more thing, we only have one other rules advisory committee meeting scheduled, and it's for August. Is it August 6th? August 8th starts.
8th.
So if we, I don't know if we want to decide on some meeting dates today, want us to reach out to everybody and get, some buy-in on some dates. I'm thinking like monthly we meet, to kind of hash these things out, and then I will just update the board at every time they meet. So their next meeting is in October, so I'll update them on this meeting, the August meeting, whatever meeting you guys have between.
This is Christy. Can I just clarify when you say schedule ongoing, potentially monthly meetings? Does that go until December when everything kicks into place or beyond? Because we're still working on revising everything. I'm just trying to get a clear idea, like how long we're talking.
Do you mean, does it go past the waiver?
Yes.
If we still need the waiver, if Bob may decide to move the waiver out farther, I think it will depend on where you guys are at. But we have that definitely noted to revisit that a few months, probably at the October board meeting.
This is Mel. I know that there has been a few community members who have approached to get the law and changed, modified. Does that impact our work?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I have not heard of any, I haven't seen any language or concepts come through. When I do, I'll let you guys know. Sometimes they tell us and sometimes they don't, it just kind of depends. I did want to say that every agency does things a little bit differently. I know they're, is Georgianne on the call today?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes,
Hi,
I'm
Georgianne.
here.
Georgianne's
Do
here
you
with us. From the
I'm
bed.
following the directions and keeping my camera off.
So her and I have talked we've been in contact over the last year. And the way they do their rulemaking is very different than the way HLO does. So, and Georgianne, correct me if I'm wrong here. You guys have a rules advisory committee that meets every month. And obviously
Yes.
you're going with all kinds of issues that happen in the Department of Ed world. Well, that's not how this works. There's a group that's, appointed, which is you, and then it's basically situational. So there's been some question about why this is taking so long. It's because it's just a different process. And there's not a right or wrong way to do things. It's just they're a huge agency and that's the way they can manage it. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up. And Georgianne, I'm gonna leave it up to the committee, if we get past provisional, to decide to go to the education license or the generalist license. So I think it's kind of up in the air. I don't know exactly where they're gonna go, so stay tuned. Okay.
This is Amber, just regarding scheduling out. I think it might be good to try and schedule that with as many people contributing to the conversation as possible. I think it's, we have 4 people in person, and like maybe 1 person online. I think it might be best to try and schedule that by reaching out to each individual committee member.
Okay. So in your packet, I gave you the draft of the rules within that, giving you a draft. And then the current rules in place now, the non-official copy, and Mel commented on that. This is, it's not official because it's not the Secretary of State's version. It's just a user-friendly version, but this is the rules that are in place today. So we do those.
Which page is that?
Oh, it is, we'll start on page 17. Yes, current rules, and then the statutes start on page 37. Me and Carrie are going to make books for you guys. So we have this stuff for you at every meeting in a book, and we don't have to keep making copies. And if you want to have a copy, we'll know to replace it. So as we're gathering information, we can keep everybody. I'm always crazy. Killing a lot of trees I am. And then, when I was listening through the last committee meeting, I did find some information that I thought might help us later in the conversation. So that's kind of the back of your resources, which they're just other groups' documents, like, for example, HCI, the Healthcare Interpreter Program, they've actually done like a whole, I think this is a newer document, yeah, from February, English proficiency. So they went through and determined what that is. It's about the TOEFL and all of those things. So I put that in here. So maybe that's something that we want to copy. I don't know, just to look at. Sometimes it's easier if someone else has already done the work, steal it. And that's on page 49. You can see English language proficiency. So, okay. And then, the last thing is, nope, I need. Okay, so if we want to start on this item, so what I updated over in the evening last night. Once again, it's always evolving. And what goes up there, we'll just start. Okay, so on page 1, this is exactly how it's written in the rules today, with the exception of number 5. However, when you guys did the provisional last week, or last month, April, we never talked about the EIPA as part of any of the pathways. So that's another question. So if that's something that we wanted to bring into the provisional, then we would probably add number 5. Just basically saying, if we don't have your exam score, you just have to get it to us within. You have to disclose it and give us your. Once you get the score, you gotta give it to us, so I think it's upon renewal. But that's a question I have a little bit later. Okay, any questions about that? Working on site or remotely, can have more than one supervisor, may not supervise any other person providing sign language interpreter services, cannot supervise.
Sorry, so this is Mel. Her pronoun. When I was reading through this, thank you for this, having it all in one place was so helpful. The part where it says may have more than one supervisor stood out to me because under supervisor license, it talked about our responsibility. And so I just want to put a pin in that, a placeholder to go back and visit that. Because if a supervisor is responsible for the control and management, having multiple seemed like it could be more challenging
Yeah.
to manage.
We have one group, the electrologists, because they have a lot of specialties that they do when they do remove hair, genitals, things like that. And not everybody does that. So under their training programs, they'll often have more than one supervisor who's training in the face and then who's training in genitals. And so there's one who is designated as the primary. So there are ways around it, but I think it's something good to consider.
I like what you said about that, that clarifies to me because there is specific environments that a supervisor would be responsible for. Like, so you can have an educational supervisor, a legal supervisor, or whatever our settings might be, or general
setting.
Because if it's just a supervisor in general, and somebody's going everywhere, where does one begin and the other end for responsibility, if that makes sense? So making that word clearly defined about a supervisor has a very clear space or experience or whatever we want to call it, that word.
Yeah, and they're,
So defining that space that I am responsible for as a supervisor.
yeah,
If they're having multiple supervisors, I need to know where my responsibility starts and ends.
and I don't know if there, we can always create documents. I don't know if that's something
It's simple.
want to talk about in the future,
Yeah.
who knows?
I just want a placeholder for that to maybe
Yeah.
come back and visit.
Perfect, but I like the timing, the setting, and that's something that everyone talks about. Is a provisional license holder need to work in different settings or can it just always be in one? Yeah.
I would like it to be multiple settings.
I mean, you could technically make it that way, I think. I'm sure how, but you could. Okay, so the rest of this is, the provisional cannot work in medical or legal. They cannot work in education unless they hold the education license. And they current for 1 year and they can be inactive on the last day of the month, 1 year from the date of insurance, and they can be renewed 5 times. After the renewal, no more renewals. And then number 4 is just, the license holder of a sign language interpreter provisional license doesn't supersede, replace, or negate the need for licensing to comply with laws rules. So anything else, you have to comply with all. And then that number 5 for the IPA. Okay, on page 2. I'm hoping I captured this stuff correctly, but this is the opportunity for you guys to say, you can get better. That's not really wrong. So most of this is just application requirements for the first part. So one is meet the HLO requirements, like identification, things like that. Submit a form that HLO creates. You have to be 18 and provide us documentation. Then submit proof of being in compliance with the NAD RID code of professional conduct. And for the purpose of this rule, the attestation on the application is sufficient. That's what's in the rule now. So I just kind of carried it over. That will actually something we'll tackling somewhere someday. I don't know when about. Because RID does do some form of discipline and is there something there that should be tied to licensing? Is that something the board wants to talk about? So again, in the future, that's definitely something that will probably come up. That's just side item.
I'll just add to that, this is Mel. RIPs, they do have a formal complaint process and investigatory process. And what I appreciate about RIP's lens is it's restorative. So when we do talk about having a complaint process here, if we mimic RIPs where, somebody does have an issue, then it's like, oh, you had an ethical violation, you need to take an ethical workshop, or somebody reported your sign language skills weren't up to par, why don't you take the slippy and get tutoring? It's not about you lose your license, it's about how do we keep you in the workforce. So if it's already going through RID too, though, do we need to double up here? If it's just your license, I don't know.
And this is Christy. Sort of like a plan of assistance, right?
Yeah.
We're working with staff, there's area of growth,
Right.
some sort of plan of assistance. How do we support you?
But then there's, 3 strikes and you're out. At some point, there has to be a firm.
So we are gonna have to stop the meeting because we do not have a quorum. A quorum of the committee is 6, and I don't have 6 of you. Some people either didn't notify us or are not attending. Like Buck said he would be in attendance, he's not here. Amanda called out this morning. So what I can do is try to get a hold of the people and see if they can get on. Amanda said she's gonna try, so I can see if she can go ahead and jump on. I never heard from Deanna.
Deanna said she was gonna attend. I never heard from Natalie, and Edwin canceled late last night at like 9 o'clock.
Do you want to call Deanna and I'll reach out to Amanda?
Okay.
Or email or whatever. So we're gonna start the meeting. Yeah, did you hear all that? Thank you. Okay, Georgianne, did you hear that too? Becky, Emily, all the things about that.
We're good. Yep.
Okay. Here we go.